She literally told me
to kill myself.
She would just be telling me these things over and over and over again. Goes to swing a punch, boys. She literally goes to swing at a 15-year-old girl. Tell Hasina to grow up and go back to class. Where do I even start? Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Sin, and today I'm going to be telling you the story of my psycho ex-head teacher, me getting bullied at school and being kicked out at 16. So if you want to hear about my story, keep on watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. I'm nearly at 1,000 subscribers and it means so much that you guys are watching and subscribing. Before I start this video, I just want to quickly say that I have no hard feelings towards any of the people that are involved in this story. I have literally forgiven everyone. I'm now 21, so when did I get kicked out of school? I was 16, so 17, 18, 19. So it's been like 5 years since I've been kicked out of school, like 7 to 8 years since I've been bullied by these people, and I'm honestly just making this video as a testimony to people out there who are going through similar things, who might be in the position that I was in back then, because I want you guys to know that that's not the end of everything. That doesn't determine who you're going to be and what's going to happen in your life. I was kicked out of school at 16 and look at me now. As much as I laugh and I joke about everything that happened now, and I'm comfortable enough to do that now, if you had asked me about this a few years ago, and even sometimes now, I get a bit upset about it because what you say to people stays with them. And I was watching Jessie's from Little Mix's documentary about what happened to her with online trolling. Watching that just inspired me to sit down and make this video, because I feel like so many people need to hear that bullying, it impacts people for the rest of their lives. Like, I'm never going to forget what those people said to me and what they did, and it's honestly changed my perception of everything, and it's changed my life. Right, so I'm just gonna have some coffee and eat while I talk about this whole situation. So guys, this story all starts off when I was 11. So my best friend in primary school told me that she was actually trying to get into this grammar school, and she told me what grammar school was, and she told me, you know, it's a really great, amazing school. So me being the nerd that I've always been, I wanted to go to grammar school as well. So I did my 11 plus and I got in, and I was so happy. As I'm telling this story, one of my neighbors, like the little kid, is walking home in his school uniform, and I just think it's so funny. Lol. Anyway, I want to say like the first 2 or 3 years of grammar school were great. I always had a best friend in grammar school, and it wasn't the girl that I knew from primary school. Me and her actually parted ways, which I'll get back to in the rest of this video. I was always really good friends with one girl. For the purpose of this video, I'll call her Lily. Around, I want to say year 9, I became friends with a group of girls, and I want to say there was like 5 to 6 of them. It was quite clear that these girls were the popular girls, and they just stuck together in a little group. At the time, I was dancing a lot, so I was part of a dance group, and I had an idea to have like a dance club in school at lunchtime. And obviously I just wanted to do it because I enjoyed dance. It wasn't because I wanted to get one over anyone or I wanted to be better than anyone else. I just had a passion for Bollywood dancing, and I wanted to run this little dance club. One day I was ill. One of the girls in that group, we'll call her Dev, short for Devil. I was just so naive, I had no idea, but she actually wanted to have this dance group. So she wanted to run the group at lunchtimes. There was obviously, now looking back, there was obviously some sort of jealousy, and I started to notice when I was back after being sick that week that her friends were all coming to this club. They were watching me dance and they were making little comments, laughing and things, which is whatever. Like, back then it obviously affected me, and I was like, oh my god, I don't really want to dance anymore. That's my first error. Guys, don't care what people think. At the time, I was running my YouTube channel as well, so I've been on YouTube for a good 10 years. I started YouTube when I was really young in school. I think I was like in year 8, and once they found out about my YouTube channel, that's when things got out of hand. They would literally come to school and take the piss like out of anything I did. I remember once I posted like a Barbie pink makeup tutorial, and they were just singing I'm a Barbie girl in school at me. They were just laughing at every little thing I did, and it got to the point where I actually deleted my YouTube videos. I privated everything and I stopped doing YouTube. That's another mistake. So everything I enjoyed, they beat me down for it. I was always so upset about it because I put so much effort into my YouTube even back then. I'm gonna do a video where I react to my old videos, and obviously it's funny because I was what, like 13, 12, 13, and they really hammered into me about it, bicker and laugh. I thought, you know what, once I've got rid of all my YouTube videos, they've got nothing to say to me, everything will be fine. That wasn't the end of it, boys. Everything I did was picked on. I remember being put into this history class and I was so upset because all of Dev and her friends were in this class. I actually ended up getting 4 marks in my history coursework. The teacher was really lovely and she didn't think anything of it, but she said out loud like, oh, well done. And obviously girls whisper and things in the class. They found out that I had 4 marks, and I had a really lovely girl who used to sit next to me, and she was like, honestly, don't listen to what they say. As like a 14 or 15-year-old girl, I was like, what the heck, like they're speaking. I was literally sat at the front of the class and I could hear them behind me like, oh my god, like she got that mark, how the hell did she do that? And because they couldn't get to me that way, they started picking on my appearance. So I used to wear like red frames, and they were just like, who wears red glasses? Like who walks around with red glasses? Like it just makes you look even uglier. So it was just little nitty things like that, and I remember just getting up and bursting into tears and running out of history class. So it was always like history and English that we had together, and ironically English has always been one of my strong points, and I would actually be scared to put my hand up because anything I said, they had something to counteract it with, and they just wanted to shoot me down. In things like history class, when they used to do stuff like that, I remember once I just lost it. It was actually the day that I told you guys about, where I got my grades, and I just got up, burst into tears and ran to the office. I would beg the women that worked in the office to just send me home. I remember I would just cry and be like, please call my mum, please can I go home, I don't want to be here anymore. And they would actually cry with me because they would hear the things that were being said, they would hear what these girls were doing to me, and they would see it for themselves. One of the girls, Dev, had messaged her mum and told her that Hasina's gone to the office, she's crying, and she's going to tell, you know, the head teachers and whoever that we have been bullying her in history class. So can you please come in and make it look like she's lying and that she's actually been bullying us? I don't know where the logic comes into this, but that's what she told her mum. Anyway, so her mum walks in to the office and she fully comes up to me in the office, walks through the door. It takes us a while to realize that she's obviously Dev's mum and she's come in to attack me, but she storms in and she goes to swing a punch, boys. She literally goes to swing at a 15-year-old girl crying in the office, and she's like, you're a liar, you've been bullying my daughter Dev, you can cry all you want, but you're actually not the victim in this situation. Dev and her friends are. You can imagine how in shock I was. I was shaking. This woman was trying to attack me, and the office lady I love to pieces, she knows who she is if she ever watches this video. She stood in the way, guys. She literally stood in the way of this woman to protect me. I can't thank her enough because I know that that woman would have hit me, and obviously your girl would have sued. I'm not stupid. As sad as I was, I would have sued. Till this day I'm gonna stop speaking. She stood in the way and she protected me with her life. Like she was a short little lady and she fully just stood in the way and refused to let this woman hit me. She obviously calmed her down and got her out of the office and told her that she had to leave. After that whole situation, I was still told to grow up and to not cry like a little baby and to go back to class after someone's mum had literally just tried to hit me in the face. The office ladies actually sent a message to the head of school, and they were like, Hasina wants to go home, you know, nothing's being done about the situation and she just doesn't feel safe in school, so you know it's our duty to send a student home if they don't feel safe. No one actually came to me from head of school. So head of school is like the head teacher, the deputy head, and we had a few deputy heads. I want to say we had like 3. None of them came into the office to see me. They sent a post-it note. They sent a freaking post-it note. That was what I was worth, a post-it note. And on it, it said something along the lines of, tell Hasina to grow up and go back to class. Tell Hasina to grow up and go back to class. Till this day, I'm so uncomfortable with the fact that those people got employed as head of school, as head of girls aged from 11 to 16. And I remember reading that post-it note and I just was sobbing uncontrollably. I was just like, why doesn't anyone understand Why is nothing being done about this? And on several occasions, guys, I had reported what was going on. Teachers had actually seen me crying and locking myself in school toilets. I remember in PE, I used to shut myself in the cubicle and be like, I don't want to go because they're sitting in class. I used to sit and cry in the office. No one used to pay attention apart from the office ladies, who I still love till this day. No one cared from head of school. They literally would see me crying and skipping lessons and just hiding in school, and they didn't care whatsoever. They would see me walk out of school. They didn't care. The only time they cared was when they wanted to take my mum to court for me not coming to school, even though it was on them that I wasn't going to school. There was one incident where it was my birthday. A few of the girls put some tweets out and they were like, for her birthday she needs a nose job. And you know what, guys? Yeah, I have a big nose. Like, we all know that I have a big nose, but we move. I've got a big nose. I don't care. I love my nose now and I wouldn't change it for the world. But back then I was crying so much, and the fact that these girls who were aged like 14 were saying, tell your dad to use his money to get you a nose job, it just went to show how jealous they were. And they would make comments down to the shoes that I was wearing, down to like my glasses on my face. I remember a few girls actually printed out their tweets and showed them to the head of school, and the head of school were like,
you just gotta ignore them, we can't do anything about it.
When this is interfering with my school life, with my emotional well-being, with my mental health, and you're still saying to me as a 14-year-old girl crying and looking at you in the eye, and you're telling me,
get over it.
It just didn't make any sense. So my new head teacher, she would literally tell me to come into school, and I'd have to sit in her office at lunchtime. And at lunchtime, I'd have to eat food in her office, and she'd literally tell me,
you're getting bullied because you dress a certain way and your parents spoil you and you wear these glasses, and if you don't want to get bullied, change your shoes, change the way you look, change what you say, like change how you behave, change your hair.
So basically, I was being told by my head teacher that the reason you're getting bullied is because of you and who you are. She actually told me,
you're a cancerous cell and you need to be wiped out of school and wiped out of existence.
So she literally told me to kill myself. She would just be telling me these things over and over and over again until it was drilled into my head that I wasn't worthy of life. Oh, it's just... So I was actually called out of English class. This was after I had reported some of the tweets that were said about me. She literally pulled me out of English class and she started yelling at me in the middle of the corridor. And I want you guys to imagine that the corridor was long like this. So it was a massive long corridor, and just off the corridor was my English class. And keep in mind that the door was closed to my English class. Everyone could hear what she was saying to me, and she was literally screaming at me. Imagine she was just towering over me. I had my head down and she was screaming that I was a liar, that I needed to just get on with school, stop reporting what was happening to me and just be a grown-up about it and just ignore these girls and get on with it. And she just was screaming that, you know, I'm attention seeking, and it was awful. It was vile. I remember after it happened, she made me sit in the corridor on a chair by myself, and I was just sat there for the rest of the day. My English teacher actually came out of class after she heard what had happened. She stopped the class, she came out, and she was like, I'm so sorry. After school, the office ladies actually came up to me and they were like, we heard her screaming at you, Hasina, like you have to tell your parents what's going on. Yeah, all the teachers were just shocked and disgusted and scared of this woman who was treating me like actual shit. Like, that's all I can say. Like, she was taking out whatever insecurity, whatever anger she had in her was all being taken out on me. A whole incident happened in school. There was a group of girls who were actually older than me who decided to pick on me as well, tried to attack me in the school lockers, and one of my friends actually stood in the way and protected me. We both got kicked out of school for that whole situation, even though the head of school, they all knew what was going on. They knew I was getting bullied by these two groups of girls. It ended up being two different groups of girls, and they had nothing to say. They honestly, my head teacher brought me into her office. She told me that I should kill myself, and she gave me the letter to kick me out of school. Keep in mind that she didn't inform my parents where I was. She had taken my phone off me. I was in school until 6 o'clock in the evening, sitting in her office, being told constantly that you're not worthy of life, you're not worthy of being in school, you're not worthy of anything. My dad actually like rampaged through the school, found me in her office at like 6 p.m. and finally got me, and he was like, this is illegal, you can't keep my daughter, not tell me where she is, not allow her to tell me where she is. Keep in mind, my dad had no idea what was said to me in that office, neither did my mum. They just told my dad that being kicked out of school because there was a whole incident in the lockers, and they didn't even explain it to him. After all that happened, I actually went into a state of really bad depression, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even now till this day, you can probably hear it in my voice, I get really anxious thinking about what those girls did and what my head teacher did and how I was basically isolated in school. In terms of the girl Lily, who I was best friends with in school, she actually joined forces with those girls when I left. I remember one night getting a phone call off her and a few of those girls, and they were just screaming down the phone, they were just swearing down the phone. And I've actually spoke to Lily, and she's reached out to me, and you know, I have no hard feelings towards her anymore because she was there for me quite a lot back in school in the first few years of when I was bullied. But I understand that when you're young and when everyone's grouping up against a person, you don't want to be picked on. And I think a lot of the girls in school didn't stand up for me because they were actually scared. They saw that, you know, head teachers and the deputy heads weren't helping me. They saw that I got kicked out of school for something that wasn't my fault, and they saw that I just didn't get any help. So they were scared to be in the same situation as me, and that's why I'm not hateful towards any of those girls that didn't stand up for me or didn't say anything, because I understand that they were scared themselves. I remember studying at home as much as I could, honestly didn't want to go back to school anyway, and when I was going into school for lessons, I would literally go in and then have my mum waiting outside, and I would hop into a car and go straight home and study. And it stayed like that till for the whole of the final year in school. I actually just went in to sit my exams, pretty much just went in to sit my exams. Alhamdulillah, I came out with, was it 10 or 11 A star and A grades. I was just ecstatic. I did as well as I could possibly do, and yeah, I literally picked up my paper on results day and I waved goodbye to those girls. And keep in mind, you know, I don't want to say this in spite or anything, but those girls who put all of that energy into hating me and bullying me and making my life hell didn't even have half the grades that I got. I remember thinking in my head, you know, against all odds, I did this. I want you guys to know, God doesn't put you through anything that you can't deal with. I have just realized from that whole experience how strong I can be as a woman, and how I can use my story to uplift and help other women or other, even boys, anyone who is going through a similar situation, because people can drag your name through the dirt, put you down all they want through just out of jealousy, just out of pure jealousy. But you've got to realize who you are, and no matter how alone you feel, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to just realize how strong you are and how thankful you were for that situation, trust me. And in terms of what happened after school, I've seen them round, they haven't had anything to say to me. Literally none of them have reached out and apologized for what's happened in school, which is fine. I honestly, some people just don't grow up and move on from things, which is fine. I just want people to know that if you're going through a similar situation, if you've had something like this happen to you, I'm here to talk to you. You can reach me on my social media. You can honestly message me anywhere and I will reply. I just don't want anyone to ever feel alone like I did in school, to the point where you're like sat in bed and you're thinking to yourself, do I even deserve to be alive? God has put you in that situation for you to realize how strong you are. And that's all I've got to say about what happened in school. Thank you all so much for watching. If you think this video will help anyone, please do share it around. Subscribe if you haven't already, and please do give it a thumbs up, because yeah, it took me a while to actually get this video out properly again. But I hope you guys have a lovely day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!